Hello and welcome to another session of Karen's Colours. I'm Dr. Karen and these are my colour conversations. Well, it's that time again where we delve into the realm of potential. Yes, time for more monthly colour readings. I hope you've been enjoying the ones that I have been presenting so far, and I'd be very curious to find out just how it is that you managed with the colour changes that you may have chosen for yourself. I, this month, had the colours blue and yellow, and I certainly had some surprises, which is what those colours tend to suggest. The most surprising thing, of course, was that even though I am a lucid dreamer and still dreamt throughout the entire month, I couldn't remember any of them, which is really quite interesting because yellow is a colour of remembering things. So obviously it was an issue that I needed to deal with. But before we get started today, I'd really like to welcome those of you who are new subscribers to this channel. It's always pleasant to find that there are people who are starting to find an interest in the sorts of things that I talk about. Maybe it's not so much these monthly readings, maybe it's more to do with the films that I analyse, but whatever it is, if I can explore with you the world of colour as I see it, then maybe you too will find an interest in something that you didn't know that you were interested in. For those of you who are regular viewers, thank you from the bottom of my heart for attending. And really, I think it's time that you might like to make some comments. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know what's happening to you. Let me know how these readings resonate for you. And that way I can be guided into giving more informed opinions of the colours as they turn out. If you're new here, then of course you are also very, very welcome. And I hope you find something here that is of benefit to you. All right, well, this month I've decided to take the oracle called The Treasures of Tikashi. Now, I don't have a box for these anymore. These have been with me for almost as long as my tarot cards and much, much longer than my colour cards. So the box is long gone, but it has some very wonderful messages for people. And I hope that the message that comes out for you resonates with what you are experiencing in your life in the here and now. All right then, well, let's get started. Firstly, let's choose a treasure from Tikashi to aid in our understanding of the reading for people in July, looking at their October 2025. And we'll pop that one in under there to look at later. And now I want a colour reading for people born in the month of July to examine how their October 2025 is likely to eventuate. So we enter the month with white on green. We move on to pink on white and end the month with orange on cyan. And the underlying energy is grey on orange. We have two colours here that are repeated. White occurs as the action in the beginning of the month, the energy that you bring into the month, and then it reverts into the need or drive or motivation for the energy throughout the majority of the month. Then we have orange appearing as the action at the end of the month, and it is also the underlying need or drive with the underlying energy that impinges upon the entirety of the month's journey. So let's have a look at the underlying energy to begin with. Orange internally has to do with a need for courage, a need for confidence, a need to be able to survive the crises with which you are faced. As it occurs internally, it means that there are a number of really major challenges that have been besetting you and will continue to appear in your life throughout the entire month. In the real world, your reaction to these is one of confusion, uncertainty, but also trying to find some sort of middle road that will enable you to traverse different people's opinions, different types of situations, different experiences, so that you can travel safely and not be caught up in the drama and crisis that the orange is creating, so that you can show that you are confident, but at the same time doesn't undermine that confidence. Now, in the past, you've had white on green. Green internally is a desperate search for new pastures. It's wanting freedom. It's wanting to get away from what was and head towards something new. In the real world, you have created white. Now, white means that energy means you're prepared to jump in any direction at all. It doesn't matter. It's indiscriminate. You're not really thinking about it. And so you find yourself often, and particularly at the beginning of the month, having put yourself in a situation that's entirely novel. You have no idea how to navigate what you've just done to yourself or for yourself, depending on how you perceive the situation. But this is like you've moved from one state of being into another state of being, and you are entirely new. You're in a different environment, one that you've never had encountered before, and now you can start off again with a clean slate. Whatever was before is now completely gone. There's nothing left in the real world that is a carryover from the previous month. It's clean, it's blank. You can start to write your story again. By the middle of the month, that white has gone internally. And by doing so, what it's done is emptied you out of any sort of preconceived ideas. The skills that you had before are no longer as functional as they were. But at the same time, there is this need for inspiration. You feel empty internally. Feeling empty because you've bitten the bullet, jumped the gun, whatever it is you want to call it here, kicked the bucket even, if although that has some pretty deadly connotations. But nevertheless, what you've done here is like you've created an entirely different life. And now that life has got to the stage where you really don't know what it is that you've done. You don't understand it. You feel completely out of your depth. And there is this need for some sort of input, and you haven't got any. In the real world, you've gone on an opposing track to where you were with the green. Green and pink are very are virtually opposites on the color wheel. They're very dissimilar in the way that they present themselves. Green is about wanting new pastures. Pink is about just leave me alone. I need help. I can't do anything. I don't have any energy. Green is about let's move. Pink is I just can't. I simply cannot. There is no energy left. And in effect, what this is saying about you is that because of the dramatic changes that you've made here, you're now having to deal with the consequences. Consequences can be good, but they can also be rather destructive. It depends on what you chose to do, how that turned out, and what you are doing now. In the real world, pink often has to do with accepting help, but it's also giving out help to others and wanting help in return. You want to be loved, you want to be liked, you want to be appreciated. The way to do that is to make yourself vulnerable to other people so that they are able to come and assist and help, and just generally look at you in a kindly way, which is, of course, what will then hopefully for you fill out all that empty space inside. Whether it does or not, well, that all depends on what it is that you did back here. By the end of the month, all of that's gone, and we're now into more solid ground. We have orange on cyan. Cyan internally is the need for peace and quiet, harmony, acceptance, contentment, just simply things settling down and stabilizing. In the real world, however, what happens instead is that you are in a crisis state. Things are happening so fast and so furiously that you're constantly having to justify yourself. Orange in the real world is about standing up and being counted. It's about showing that you are courageous and confident, but you only need to show that when there is a drama, a crisis that you need to be courageous in or have to survive. So even though the internal desire is for peace and harmony, the external activity is all about having to fight to obtain that peace and harmony. So how does that underlying energy impinge upon these? Well, if we take the white and put it over the orange, then what we have here is a need for peace, a need for confidence, a need to be able to survive issues. And in the real world, all sorts of things are happening to you. There is no clear path. You find yourself out of your depth because everything and anything that can possibly happen is indeed happening. On the other hand, you could have grey over green. Now, with green, you have that need, that drive for freedom, for new pastures, for new ways of presenting yourself. And in the real world, there is the opportunity for you here to find the middle road. You don't have to do things in a particular way. You can actually look at the different options that are available to you and choose a path that treads between the total emptiness that the white has represented and its opposite, which is the other color that's hidden in here, and that is black, and that is having to shut things down. So coming into the month is actually not as difficult a ride as one would expect when you consider what these actually represented to begin with. On the other hand, by the middle of the month, we have a slightly different look. Here we have pink over orange. Now, the pink has to do with vulnerability, as I said, and the orange has to do with drama and crisis and having to survive those. Well, when you have to survive something by going out and being vulnerable, it generally is because you've actually become ill. Pink often has to do, particularly if it's in the real world, it has to do with developing some sort of illness. And that illness is weakening you, and your need to survive this illness or this weakened state becomes fairly critical, particularly since you have grey over white. White is a flash of enlightenment, so there's an emptying out of everything that you knew or felt or believed before. And in the real world, there's confusion and uncertainty. So between these two combinations, the underlying energy in the middle of the month, there is going to be a period of high drama, but also a feeling of being out of your depth, out of control. By the end of the month, that's changed again. Orange on orange means that the drama has hit, and it's hit hard. Here we have not only the need to survive, but the opportunities to do so. You are going to find yourself being able to stand up and stand your ground and prove to the world that you are capable of doing what you say you are going to do. You can think and you can act, and you can put those in the right order so that you obtain for yourself the sort of self-esteem that is required by orange on orange. On the other hand, you have grey over cyan. The peace and quiet that you urgently desire, that you really crave, in the real world comes through as options. And those options are not ones that are clear. You have to choose amongst options that are not necessarily able to be identified very easily. So there's a lot of confusion around but at the same time, they do tend to satisfy some of that need for peace and quiet and harmony, because you do have those options that are available to you. All right, so let's have a look at what the missing colours have to say about this. We have no black, but we do have white. There's no red or yellow, but you do have green. There's no blue or brown, but you do have orange and grey. There's no purple, but you have pink and you have cyan. So here we have 6 colours that represent skills that you will be able to use throughout the month of October to travel from a state of having to make absolute changes to a state of being able to survive things that you otherwise would make you feel uncomfortable. The colours that are missing are these 6, and these are the ones that you probably need to consider as alternatives and perhaps adjuncts to the skills that you already have. The black has to do with time out. It has to do with withdrawal and getting in touch with your inner self so that you can draw on information that you already have that is deep within you. Red is about assertiveness. It's about standing up. It's about being your own boss. And at the same time, it's about taking risks. Yellow is about learning and remembering, getting new information and digesting it. Blue is about understanding and getting organized and just simply doing what needs to be done because it needs to be done. Brown has to do with ambitions and goals and practical skills, and it also has to do with being able to get down and dirty and do the work that is necessary to obtain what you're looking for. And purple is about destruction and creation. It's about pulling down what no longer serves and building something new in its place. It's a healing energy. So the idea is to choose which is the most appealing and which is the least appealing of those 6 colours, and then add them to your repertoire here, so that instead of 6 skills, you now have the opportunity to use 8. And when you do that, you'll find that your journey through the month will be different, but it also, hopefully, will be a lot better. So let's have a look at what Tikashi has to offer us. Self. The self remains true. The self remains pure. Your ego may be trying to take you away from the knowing of your whole self. Do not be troubled. Do not be misled. Your self is totally unlimited and is guided by your heart and soul. All you need to do is listen and trust yourself. Unlimited is what the white is about. Your heart and your soul. Together, those, the beginning of the month and the middle of the month, create the self. And it's up to you to determine how you're going to use that by the end of the month. Interesting. Well, that was certainly an interesting reading. I hope it resonates with you throughout the month. And if it doesn't, come back in a week or so and see what it has to say then. Because quite often we don't recognize all these general readings for ourselves immediately. It's only once we've gone through a few stages that we start to realize that, maybe that was what it was all about. Anyway, until next time, may the colours of your life bring you joy and happiness and all the things that you desire. Until I see you again, bye.